matching incredible students to great colleges one story at a time. This is the second season of the College Match podcast, and today I'm introducing you to Sevdora. Get your tissues ready because this is one powerful story about a strong woman who grew up in Uzbekistan, mostly without her parents. When she was just 4 years old, her mom moved to America to create a better life for her and her daughter. After many years, Sevdora finally moved to the States to be with her mom and overcame several obstacles along the way. Sevdora not just excelled academically, but is off to one of 8 Ivy League colleges next year. Keep tuning in to hear more about her journey and where she committed to next fall. And don't forget to tune in to season 1, where I shared more inspiring stories about students in Los Angeles doing powerful things. So to all the dreamers, believers, and achievers, teachers, educators, and supporters, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the College Match podcast. We are well into the school year at this point and continue to share really amazing and inspirational stories with you, one story at a time. And today we have an inspiring young woman who attends Bravo Medical Magnet named Sevdora. And in a little bit, she's going to share a little bit more about her journey to high school, journey to America. Before we do that, Sevdora, can you share a little bit with the audience about who you are, where you come from, and a little bit about your background?
So my name is Sevdora, like Andrea mentioned, and I was born in Uzbekistan, which is a country located in Central Asia. I migrated into the United States in 2014, and I started 6th grade in the US.
Nice. So recently. So you said Uzbekistan. So for folks like me who are not super geographical buffs here, can you share a little bit geographically where that's located?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's located in Central Asia, and it used to be part of like the Soviet Union. So it's fairly close to Russia and some of the other countries that broke apart from the Soviet Union recently.
Nice. And so what language do they speak in Uzbekistan typically?
Yeah, so we have our native language, which is Uzbek, but also like in here, like a lot of people speak Spanish, and in the same way over there, a lot of people speak Russian in my generation. So I also I know both languages. And like I consider my country something that's like still developing, so not a lot of people have access to a lot of things that we have over here. Like for example, when I lived in the countryside, like people wouldn't have enough electricity, or they wouldn't have like clear water, so they would have to be like getting it from somewhere else. So those are like some of the challenges that I had to face. But yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your experience in Uzbekistan. So you were obviously there for quite some time because you just recently came here. So tell us about your childhood and any memories that you have growing up there.
Before when I lived with my grandparents, I used to attend kind of this somewhat of like a privileged school where basically so like the daycare, like the principal was from Korea, so they were like focused in introducing the students to like the Korean culture. So there's nothing like kindergarten like in here, so you just go to daycare and then you just start attending school. So then I went to 1st grade. Yeah, so like I feel like there's like a great like distinction between here and over there, because like here like the people really focus on their education, and over there is kind of like not a lot of people like focus on their education. Like in my family we do like value education deeply, like my aunts, my mom, like everyone. But like the atmosphere is not as intense, I feel like, with education. So a lot of the times I was just being a child, like playing with my friends in the yard.
As she alluded to, when Sevdora was very young, she actually lived with her grandparents and for a short while with her aunts. This is because when she was 4 years old, her mom moved to America to receive a better work opportunity and overall a better life experience for her and her only child at the time. Her mom came to America always with the intention of eventually moving Sevdora to America with her.
So my mom had me when she was fairly old, like she was 33 years old. So by the standards of Uzbekistan, that's kind of like pretty late because people do get married at a young age. And so she did get married pretty also late at the age of 31. So she came here like, like everyone else, looking for a better like, job opportunity so that she could, provide better for us. And then she was like actually planning to go back because since I was like still there, so she still wanted to come back because of me. But then there were some like financial circumstances, and she was somewhat like forced to stay here. But she's always like, oh well, if that hadn't happened, like I would have like come back. But now I like don't regret that, like that factor that pushed me to stay here. So when my mom moved to the United States, I was almost 5 years old, and I was left in the care of my grandparents. But then they unfortunately died, like without almost it was like almost a year after my mom had left. So then I had to move in with my aunts.
Since she was so young, Sevdora doesn't remember too many details of her grandparents' death. It was so sudden, and they passed away within months of each other. One memory she does recount, though, was seeing her grandmother crying a lot after her grandfather's passing. She also doesn't recall too many memories living with her aunts. One, however, she'll never forget, and that's going to school. She remembers the 4 hour bus ride to and from her house in the countryside to her school in the city. She often rode the bus as a young child with her cousin, who wasn't too much older than her. It took her mom almost 7 years to establish residency, and when she finally did, Sevdora started the long, arduous process of planning for her much anticipated move to America. So, do you remember the moment that you found out that you were coming to America, and what was that experience like?
So I was living with my smallest aunt, and that's when my mom started like bringing up, like almost done with my documents, and you can come here like legally. She really wanted me to come here legally because she knew like, there's a lot of problems with like immigration, and she didn't want me to feel very kind of insecure about like my status in the United States. So even if it meant like waiting a little bit longer, she really wanted me to like, come here legally. So which is why it kind of like took like a long process before I came to the US. And yeah, so I was like about 10 or 11 years old. I was attending fifth grade, and I remember how I was like, cause like the process like it just kept on being pushed back. So I remember like with my friends, I said goodbye like 3 times before I actually left. It was so funny.
I mean, that must have been also really hard to say at that, at fifth grade, you're entering, adolescence, to have to say bye to all of your best friends. What was that like?
I I guess it was to some degree a little bit sad, but I feel like I wasn't much affected because I really did wanted to come to live with my mom for a long time, and that was something that I looked forward to for like a really long time. So I guess I like it didn't much like impacted me.
Were you nervous about what to expect in America? What were your thoughts then about moving to America?
It was kind of like I don't know, like for me, it was just like I was gonna see my mom and that's it. I just didn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like when I came here, it's kind of just like a culture shock. Everything just hit, and I just realized just how much everything was gonna be new in my life.
And talk about culture shock. So I can't imagine how you must have felt the moment you got off that plane and saw your mom. Can you bring us back to that moment of finally arriving in America?
Yeah. So well, I didn't arrive to LA directly. So when I came to New York, like our flight like arrived earlier, like 30 minutes earlier than it was planned, and it was just like the stewardess just she was like guiding me, and but she was talking to me in English and I didn't know English, so I just like assumed what she was asking me from like, like the context of what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when she just like brought me out from the airport, and she just like brought me to like the area where, like people are like just waiting. And then she just asked me, so do you see your mom? And then I was just like looking through people, and I was like, oh my god, there's so many people here, how am I gonna recognize her? Like I haven't seen her for such a long time. And then like somebody just started screaming, and then we just looked, and it was like my mom. She was like running towards us, and yeah, she started crying. Well, for me, I was like mostly in shock. Like she was kind of like smaller than I expected her to be, and
Mm.
like I didn't cry because it was just like so much to take in all at once, and I was just like in shock for the most part.
Yeah. And I mean, at the moment, you just don't really know what to expect. So, how was the moment for your like first embrace with your mom, the first hug that you were able to give her after so long? How did that feel?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, like it's similar. I could definitely feel it was like her, like she smelled the same, and
Mm.
yeah, she may not have like looked the same to me, but like the feeling, her smell was the same.
Yeah, that's so
Can I
sweet.
get some more?
It's okay. And you know what? It brings kind of tears to my eyes too, because I can just picture such a beautiful moment between a daughter and a mother at that time, you know? That's so sweet, Sevdora. And I think it's so beautiful that after so long, she knew exactly who you were. Mm. What a journey for a young child to make. While she doesn't have any pictures of that moment, through this interview, you can definitely feel the love of that moment she shared with her mom. And since it was also her first time flying, she was full of emotions. So she recounts some of what she remembers about finally arriving in Los Angeles with her mom by her side. So, fast forward, now you're about 11 and a half, 12 years old, and now you're in America, and it's a whole new world, a whole new adjustment, I'm sure. So, what were some of the kind of positive memories that you have about that experience? And then what were some of the challenges that you had about this transition to the American lifestyle?
So when I first came to LA, so we live in West Hollywood, and my mom was just like
Mm.
driving us here to the apartment that she lives, and it was like around May, and all like the flowers are blooming, and I thought like the city was so beautiful, and I was just like in love with LA, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna be living here, and it's like a different kind of like situation, like circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like in awe with what I saw on my way here. Um yeah, and I had like a lot of, like we're close to the beach. Like going to the beach was like a new experience to me, like living next to the ocean. And over here we don't have winter, so that was totally new to me. Because over there, we have harsh winters, and it gets like really cold. And I was here, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so great. You can always just like wear a sweater and be outside in LA like any time of the year.
Yeah.
Some of the some of the challenges that I had to face was like learning English because I didn't know English, and I had to attend a public school that was near our apartment here in West Hollywood. And there was a science like slash math teacher who spoke. She was Armenian, but she could like speak in Russian. So she would
Mm.
always like translate her lessons to me, especially in math, and I was just like always like thankful to her. And also like I had like classmates in my class that also knew Russian, so they always like translated some stuff, and I feel like I picked it up quickly like because of them. They always like supported me, and also because like my parents supported me at home. They were always like telling me, oh, it's okay, it's just like this little bit of transition, then you'll be fine once you pick up the language.
Not only did Sevdora have to adjust to a whole new environment in Los Angeles, but she also had to adjust to a whole new home. At this time, Sevdora's mom had also created a whole new life of her own in the States.
So when I came, she had remarried already, and yeah, when I did come, I would always like tell her, mom, am I always gonna be the single child? I should have a sibling, everybody has one. And yeah, and she finally got pregnant at the age of like 47. Yeah,
Wow, good
so
for
that was
her.
like very late, but I'm so happy that now I have a sibling, little brother. Yeah, he is 4 years old now. He's almost five. And now with COVID, it's like I'm a full-time babysitter at home.
Oh, I can imagine. So, what do your parents do then?
My mom, she's a caregiver. and my stepdad, he works as like an electrician, but now he lost his job because of coronavirus, and now he's working
Oh,
as a like a delivery person for DoorDash.
oh, okay. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. I feel like this pandemic has just jumped into everybody's lives and affected them so drastically. Sevdora has had to adjust quickly to virtual life during the pandemic. And as you'll soon hear, Sevdora was a busy student engaging in several activities before the pandemic hit. So it sounds, Sevdora, that your mom laid such a strong and impactful foundation for you in terms of sacrifice and motivation and drive. I'm assuming that also, your grandparents and your aunts, all of those people in your life really showed you what it was to push forward. So tell us a little bit about how you have pushed forward. You transitioned, sounds like successfully, to the American school life, and now what are you doing there?
When I did come to Bravo, I didn't feel like it was a hard transition. Like you did say, I did have like a lot of experience with adaptation. Like it's true that Bravo was kind of like, just like a different school. Like students are on another level, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I felt like it was kind of easier to transition. It was kind of as long as I worked hard, there was just like a chance of success always.
Now, fluent in English, having learned the language in just 5 short years, she has excelled at school. And currently, Sevdora is a member of something called the Nerdy Team at Bravo. And this year, despite the pandemic, she was captain of the Ocean Bowl team that placed third in the JPL regional competition. She's also involved in the National Honor Society, where volunteering is very important. Even in quarantine, she's managed to still give back to her community by volunteering with the LA Regional Food Bank and Excalibur, which is a student led organization to close the gap in education and foster STEM interest. Additionally, she's tutoring a middle school student, is a member of Bravo's Red Cross Club, and is even learning Japanese. Tell me a little bit about your interests and like what you want to study in college. What are you aspiring for now that you felt like your was your mom's mission to get you into some sort of medicine or pre-med, but now what is your mission?
Well, for most of the time, I felt like maybe medicine was not as like something that was like for me, but it was kind of like something that my mom wanted me to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like along the way, kind of with me like exploring like sciences, I feel like it's something that does interest me. So for now, as I was part of like the Ocean Bowl team, like I really have taken a lot of like passion and interest in oceanography and environmental studies, and that's something I want to continue when I go to college. I don't want to go with like the usual path of like what you like pre-med students say, which is like biology or kind of like pharmaceuticals that they major in, and I want to major in like environmental studies because it's like global and impactful, and I do want to be like one of the students that make a change because we don't have a lot of time before things won't be like things will be irreversible.
Oh my gosh, I 100% agree with you. I feel like your generation is going to make such a huge impact in, I mean, really how long we have on this earth. I mean, and so does my generation, right? But I think it's a little late for us. And so I'm happy to hear that students are as motivated as you to make that change.
Yeah, I think something that really stuck with me that also like defines Bravo was like integrity. Like when I first came to the Summer Bridge program, was that like our teacher, she just like basically emphasized, and she was like, you have to, value integrity. It's kind of like doing the right thing when no one is looking. That's how she identified. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, that's something you have to, carry on with yourself throughout high school, but also through life. I feel like this is just like, going to college independently is like a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you do like, I feel like this is just kind of like, it prepares you for life in a different way than being close to home, like being close to your parents.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I feel like at this point, you've done so much in high school to kind of mentally prepare yourself. But what do you feel is what do you feel makes you college ready? at this point?
Definitely college match. You guys do provide a lot of like research, like a lot, and you introduce us like to different colleges, like how to apply, like what to do, and just kind of like you guys give us like tips that obviously we probably wouldn't have known if we weren't part of this program.
As I mentioned earlier, Sevdora was accepted early to her dream school, one of 8 Ivy League colleges, Dartmouth, and she will be starting in person her first year there this fall. Starting in person is one of the many things she's really excited about. What are you excited about college for?
Okay, with college, I'm really excited about like, finding like a new community, but also kind of with the programs that are in colleges, like research opportunities and like study abroad.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I think that was what I was so excited about. I feel like I was ecstatic about my independence, right? I was like, oh man, I can't wait to just kind of like be on my own and be able to go where I want when I want and whatnot. And do you feel like having a little brother now drives you in a different way?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like something that comes with you being like the oldest child in the family. Like I notice a lot at home. He just, he's like the copycat. He copies everything I do. So I just try my best to show, like my best behavior and like show him like be like his role model. And
Mhm.
yeah, definitely with like going to a good college, hopefully I can leave like something for him, like a model for him, like an example for him to follow when he grows up.
With that said, what is one of your dreams for when you graduate? Like, what do you picture yourself doing when you actually graduate from college?
Well, I'm really planning on like, finishing med school and
Hmm.
like coming back to LA with my like to live with my well near my parents now, like with them. But I also like when I had it like when I had to travel to DC when I was in eighth grade, I really fell in love with the city. And so if I do have the opportunity, I feel like I would move in there and like establish my career as a doctor over there.
One thing Sevdora also did that helped her chances of being admitted early to Dartmouth was to attend their virtual preview program called Dartmouth Bound, an opportunity that helped her learn firsthand what life in Hanover, New Hampshire would be like. Now we can move on to my favorite part of the podcast, which is called the flash round. And this round essentially consists of 3 random questions. So my first question for you is, if there was a hashtag to describe your life, what would it be?
I would say hashtag возможно, and it's a Russian word for like possible. And I believe that everything is possible as long as put in effort. And just because I'm always like adapting to new life, but also I know that hard work always like pays off at the end.
I love it. That's very powerful. So hashtag possible in Russian. And I think that's definitely a great quality or a great hashtag that describes what you've shared today. And so my next question would be is if you had a playlist that you were creating that represented your life, what would be one of the songs on that playlist?
Um, I initially thought of like putting the theme song of Fairy Tale, and it's like Fairy Tale is like an anime, and it's just like about um like a bunch of basically guild members that go around travel the world and they just like do different jobs. And like in the anime you really see like the bond of like friendship and how like friends can become family. And I just feel like that's something that I would put because like friends are like really supportive and I've had like great friends. So
Cool, awesome. So my last question for you, Sevdora, in the flash round, and this is, I know, a totally random question, but if you had a food truck, what would the food truck be called, and what kind of food would it
okay, I would say like the food truck would be called Uzbek avokatları, and avokatları is basically just a word for foods basically.
have?
And in there would just be like all types of like our national food, like plov, which is basically like rice that's cooked and it's like very delicious. and they would have like samsa, which is very also like our traditional food. It's kind of like dough, and inside of dough, you can either put like potatoes or you can put like meat, and yeah, it's usually very delicious.
Do you know how to cook all of those types of foods? Do you guys still cook at your house?
Yeah, my mom like cooks and she teaches me. Like I've never tried doing it myself, but I always like do it with my mom
Yeah.
on my side, and she's always like guiding me. So maybe when I try it myself, maybe it's gonna be a failure, or maybe it will like turn out to be okay.
Hey, that's a way of life though, right? It's kind of like that risk taking and that change you were mentioning earlier. We have to learn how to adapt, and some things are going to work out how we plan and some are not. It's all about that's like the philosophy of cooking too, you know. Either you nailed it or you didn't, you know. And it also sounds like your mom has instilled this foundation of just hard work. And I mean, talk about sacrifice. She gave up her only child for so long, you know, in Uzbekistan to see a better life for you here, you know. So knowing all of that, you know, what motivates you to become the like excellent student and academic success that you have today?
Yeah, definitely my mom. Like you said, she's a very hardworking person, and she did like give up so much for me, even if it meant like partying with me for like long years. Like she still like went through all of that to give me like a better chance of like education, but also like a better like life opportunities in the United States.
Hmm.
So she's definitely like the motivating person, and like well kind of like the star in my life.
That sounds like it. That's so beautiful. Well, that is also a really wonderful way to end our podcast today. But before I do, Sevdora, is there a positive quote or any positive saying that you would like to leave with the audience today?
Something that I have like on my profile, as a quote is, I think it's like very true, and I would, yeah, like so I'll just like leave this quote. One smile can start a friendship, one word can end a fight, one look can save a relationship, one person can change your life.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I talk about inspiration. I think it's a perfect way to end the podcast today and pass that along and express nothing but positivity. And Sevdora, you are so beautiful inside and out. And thank you so much for being brave and open and honest with us today. Your story will surely impact, as it has me, but plenty of others who are listening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was like such an honor.
I can't express how much Sevdora inspired me during this interview. You can truly feel the passion and perseverance this young woman has just by hearing her story. Thank you for tuning in today. In a few weeks, I'll be introducing you to another incredible college match student who's off to a great college next year. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and show some love by liking and reviewing. Your support goes a long way. And I'm also honored to share that with a lot of hard work and dedication, 100% of our students were accepted to four-year colleges, and 85% of those students were accepted to top 25 colleges and universities this year. It truly took a village of counselors, SAT teachers, staff, and partners, and we couldn't be prouder. For more information about College Match and where our students are headed next year, tune into our virtual graduation ceremony on our YouTube channel. It will be live streamed at 5 p.m. on Sunday, May 23rd. See you next time.